3-run homer in Game 1 off Jack Morris.
The 0-1 pitch popped up out of play behind the Blue Jay dugout. Sometimes it doesn't take a lot of hits to make a big contribution to your team in postseason. 1 or 2 well-timed hits will keep you in everybody's memory bank for a long time to come. Kelly Gruber said, I only had 2 hits in the playoffs, but those were 2 big hits in helping my team win a game. That was in Game 2 against Oakland. 0-2 on Berryhill. We mentioned that Guzman is from the Dominican Republic. His parents, Francisca and Daniel, are watching tonight in the Dominican Republic. They wanted to come, but being the thoughtful parents that they are, they thought it would be too much of a distraction to Juan Guzman, that he'd have to worry about rounding up tickets and entertaining his parents and family. His folks don't speak English, which would have caused another problem if they tried to get around, so they decided to stay home and watch their son on TV tonight. And they just watched him strike out Berryhill for the 2nd time. Back-to-back strikeouts for Guzman. He has spanned 7 through 4 2/3 innings.
After so many fastballs, it's almost unfair to have that pitch there. A backup slider on the outside part, and Berryhill knew it. See that rotating spin. Pitching coaches like the spin on the ball when the spin is about the size of a dime. When it's the size of a quarter, then it's not spinning properly. It's not tightly held enough. But that one, as you could see, was like a gyroscope coming up there. To throw the type of slider that Guzman throws, you have to have awfully strong forearms. Steve Carlton had them, and Guzman, for a right-hander, throws a similar slider that Steve Carlton threw. Very tightly wrapped.
Guzman working to Mark Lemke. That's on the corner for a strike, 1-1. Lemke bounced to the first baseman Olerud unassisted in the 3rd inning. The Braves trail 1-0. Bobby Cox has Sid Bream at first base with 2 outs. Bream started the inning with a single, but Blauser and Berryhill have fanned. And now the 1-1 to Lemke. It's low. 2 balls and a strike. Here at the Sky Dome for Game 3 of the World Series. The series tied at 1 win apiece. The Blue Jays leading tonight's Game 3 1-0 on a home run last inning by Joe Carter. Sandy Maldonado fouled the first pitch from Steve Avery away. And the second as well. Maldonado bounced into an inning-ending 5-4-3 double play in the second. He'll be followed by Kelly Gruber and Pat Borders. The 0-2 pitch. At the end of the Toronto dugout, left to right, Ed Sprague, Derek Bell, and Turner Ward. They have a number of rituals down there, including pounding of bats to try to spur on a rally. I think the least appealing of their rituals is the tobacco spitting contest that rages on. Tough to tell who's winning, and really, who would want to know who's winning? We don't know if they're going for volume or distance, or we'll have to find out. It's Jim Todd working on that one. Actually, that's the story for Pat O'Brien, I think. 2-2 the count as Avery works to Maldonado. Blew him away. Plenty of heat on that fastball. 1 out in the 5th. Join us Sunday for NFL action here on CBS Sports. Washington and Minnesota had our 1 o'clock lineup, while some of you will see Dallas and the Los Angeles Raiders at 4 o'clock. It all starts with the NFL today at 12:30 Eastern Time, the last word before kickoff. And the Vikings, the most pleasant surprise in the NFL this year. Dennis Green has them at 5-1, and the Redskins returning to Minneapolis, where they beat Buffalo in the Super Bowl this year.
Vikings, of course, play their home games in the Metrodome in Minneapolis. That's where Atlanta played last year. And this ballpark here is twice as large at the center. And the Metrodome, 31-story building, would fit in the center of the Sky Dome. Twice as large as the Metrodome. You could fit a Metrodome inside this edifice.
With room to spare. Gruber fouls it away. He is trying to end his 0 for 23 postseason drought. I mentioned that Kelly has 2 hits in the postseason. He had a 2-run homer and a double off Mike Moore in Game 2 of the championship series.
You can tell once again that Kelly Gruber has his game helmet on. A lot of hitters use pine tar on their glove, their left hand and their right hand, and they go to their hat, and Kelly Gruber considers it unlucky to wash it.
You can tell. Game or gamey?
Gamer and gamey.
He's aboard with the walk. The first thrown by Avery. In fact, that's the first walk thrown by either pitcher tonight. Rich Hacker, the third base coach for the Blue Jays, threw the signs for Gruber and Pat Borders. And the conference at the mound, Pendleton and Berryhill visited Steve Avery, who's making his 7th postseason start tonight. It seems like he's an old hand on the major league scene. And in fact, he won't be 23 years old until next April. And he was the youngest pitcher in the majors to make 15 or more starts this season. No pitcher as young as Avery has ever made this many postseason starts. Pat Borders lined a single to left in the 3rd. They pitch out. Gruber was not on the run. He is a threat to run. He swiped 7 during the regular season despite a variety of nagging injuries. Borders looks at a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. With 1 out, a runner at first in the bottom of the 5th. Toronto leads 1-0. Damon Berryhill looking into the Atlanta dugout for help. That's strike 2 right down the middle. Borders, with his base hit his first time up, now 11 for 29 in the postseason. That's a .379 average, the highest for any player on either team. The 1-2 pitch. Tim, you could really see on that pitch why Avery has trouble with runners stealing against him. The very high leg kick, despite the presence of Kelly Gruber at first base.
High leg kick. We talked about power pitchers earlier, and all power pitchers have the high leg kick. That's where their power comes from. And Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach of the Braves, said that they don't want to teach Steve Avery the slide step to get the ball quicker to home yet because he's too young. Bobby Cox saying before the game that they'll teach him that eventually, but first things first.
Cox says they're going to teach him that in this offseason.
Bobby said you got to get to first.
That's right. The hitters have had a problem with that. Gruber's there now and not on the run as Borders spills one over the first base dugout.
This is the high leg kick we were talking about. That takes time. It's very powerful. But because of that, National League Steelers, base stealers, stole 42 bases against Steve this year. So Bobby Cox will correct that next spring.
Gruber is on the run. Borders strikes out. Berryhill does not attempt to throw.
Not only the high leg kick, Gruber guessed right, and he guessed the right pitch. Now, a curveball takes a lot longer to get home than a fastball. We mentioned earlier the problems Borders had throwing runners out. Look at Damon Berryhill. No chance. Gruber in there easily.
That's the first stolen base for Toronto in the World Series, and only the second steal allowed by the Braves in 10 postseason games. Manuel Lee, the hitter. Ball one up and in. Lee bounced to third his first time up. He's batting in the bottom of the 5th inning with the Blue Jays on top 1-0. Kelly Gruber at second with 2 outs. Avery watches Lee bounce it down to third. Pendleton throws him out. So the Blue Jays threaten but do not score, and we'll return to Sky Dome after this word from your local station.